Hey, I'm going to do a quick demo of how to use Release AI to build a RAG application that processes our documentation. So we use this to power our docs to have a chat bot where you can ask our bot questions. So the first thing is just want to show how this is set up a little bit. We've already done this ahead of time. We have an EKS cluster running in an AWS account that set up a couple of node groups. The first is CPU nodes for normal workloads, and then we have this G5 node group that is using NVIDIA A10. So underneath, two different node groups, one for CPUs, one for GPUs, and then we can tell our services which one we want to use. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new application. This application is going to be created from one of the Release AI templates. So we have a bunch of different templates. In this demo, we're going to use Docker's GenAI stack, which is a RAG application that has a Chroma database and LangChain in there. So if we click into that, this is the pre-configured template. Everything you need to run this is already set up. So all we have to do is say finish here, and that will create an application with that template. There's a couple other quick things we got to do with that template. First, we got to go in here, and in order to automatically kick off a script that's going to run when our docs change, we need to get access to that script. And that script is in what we call, we can use a workspace to bring data into this environment, and we'll do that now. So within the application template, to bring that script in, we just add in this little section called workspaces. You can mount any kind of data here. We're going to mount from a GitHub repo, but you could have data in S3 or other places. All the docs about workspaces are in our documentation. But in this case, we're going to auto attach this to every container. It's going to get put into the workspace path under my repo, and we're going to grab and pull that data in from this repository in the release docs branch. So workspaces, so now the containers have access to the script that we're going to run. And now we need to define what script is actually going to run, and we do that within a job. So a job is essentially the ability to run a container start to finish against an environment. So let's put that section in. So we're going to add in this new job called Gitbook ingest. So this is going to grab the docs. It's going to use this GenAI stack release API container, which is defined in this template. And we're going to run the Python command against this script that was in that workspace that we just mounted. There's some environment variables here that are set up, and you can add those to your jobs if you need to, but the job is here now that we can use. Okay, and then the last thing we need to add here is another workflow. By default, Release has two set up, which is when you first create your environment, patch is when you push to it. But you can add any arbitrary workflows you want. So here I'm going to add a new workflow so that we can call that job that we just added. So let's add in a new job called, or a new workflow called Gitbook ingest. And it's essentially just going to run that job that we just defined, Gitbook ingest. So if we save this, now we've got an application template with a workspace, with a new job and a workflow, which are all the three things that we need in order to do this. All right, now we're going to create this environment. So when we come in here, it's pretty straightforward. We just say create environment. We're going to use an ephemeral one. This is just kind of a throwaway environment that we can experiment with. We're going to use Llama 3.8b, and we need to tell Release which cluster we want to use, which is this Release AI cluster, which I was showing earlier. There's some extra parameters that you can add in, kind of advanced things, but for now we don't need any of that. So we're going to go off and create this environment now. So this is going to deploy that GenAI stack into the EKS cluster with the right node groups for each service. So if you go look at this, this is now deploying out. And all of these steps are happening in order to get this environment up and running with that stack. So let's let this run, and it takes a few minutes, and we'll come back when it's done. Okay, the environment finished deploying, so let's go take a look. All the resources are up and running, and all the host names are here. So if we jump into the front end, this is a little example chat application that hits that Llama database in Llama, or that Llama model in Llama. So if I come down here, I can ask anything real quick. In the docs, we have this this is the release docs, a topic that's in there is instant data sets. But if we ask about that, what are instant data sets in release? It's going to go off because we haven't updated this with the RAG app yet. It's like some arbitrary answer that isn't correct. It's just trying to figure this out. So we need to get that our documentation in, and we're going to use that workflow that we set up to do that. So if we go back to release now, here we go. Back to release, that workflow is here now to deploy. So we're going to run that. This is going to go off and run that script and update, pull the documentation, put it in embeddings, and stick it into the vector database. And then we'll go test and see if it knows about instant data sets here in a second. So let's let this run. It takes a few minutes to run, and we'll come right back. Okay, the job finished. We can now go look at the application again now. So let's go back over here. Let's ask again, what are instant data sets in release? And again, it's not going to know anything about it, but when I turn RAG mode on, it's now going to know about these. So if I say enable this, what are instant data sets in release? It's going to take the data specifically from the documentation and a much more accurate answer than before where it was just making up. So we've taken our documentation, it's now in that RAG application. But that's, I did all of that manually. What we really want to do is when those docs change, when somebody pushes or changes the docs, we want all of that to happen automatically. And we can do that with webhooks and adding a trigger section into our application template, which is what I'm going to show you now. Okay, so we need to add into the application template the ability to listen to a webhook and actually run that Gitbook ingest when the webhook happens. So let me add that section in. Okay, we're going to add that in. It's called triggers. And so basically, we're going to listen for a push from the Release Hub docs repo, and we're going to run that Gitbook ingest workflow when our documentation changes. So I'll save this, and then we'll go change the docs and see it go. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's go back and figure out. I think I put that in the wrong spot. Hang on. Oh, the indenting is off here. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to add that section. It's called triggers. Let's add that in here. Paste it in. And essentially, we're going to listen for a git push to the Release Hub docs repo on the main branch. And then when that happens, we're going to run this workflow Gitbook ingest, which is what we ran manually, but we're going to do that automatically now. So save that. We got a new version. And let's go edit the docs and see it work. Okay, here's our docs. I'm going to make an edit to this Release.ai templates page and add in the Docker GenAI Chroma. But if we go back to the app, even with RAG enabled, we could ask, does Release.ai support GenAI-Chroma? And it's going to say, it does not appear that Release.ai explicitly supports GenAI Chroma. So we need to add it to the doc so we'll see it automatically happen. So let's go do that now. All right, I'm in Webflow, which is where I like to edit this. You can edit it from source code, but I like to do it from here. So we're going to add in, we're going to create an edit to this, and we're going to add the Docker GenAI with Chroma template to our documentation. So let me do that real quick. All right, I added that in real quick. I created a little cover and added the documentation in, or at least the support for that. So now it's in the docs, and let's merge that. When I do that, it's actually going to update our Release Hub docs repo here, and you'll see that change that will come in here shortly. So if we refresh this, it'll show up. And when this kicks off, when this merge happens, it's going to do a push essentially that we listen to on those triggers, and we're going to get a webhook and kick off that workflow. Okay, the workflow is running. Now it's going to listen to that webhook, automatically kicked it off. So when we let this run, we should see the chatbot now understanding that we support GenAI with Chroma. So let's wait for this to go and we'll go check it out. All right, the job ran, so let's go check and make sure if we enable RAG here and see, does Release.ai support GenAI-Chroma? And now it's going to definitely no because we do. Oh shoot, hang on. Okay, let's go check this out. See if the AI bot now understands. So if we say, does Release.ai support GenAI with Chroma databases? That's with it disabled. Obviously, I got to click the enabled button on. Let's click enabled, get the same question. Now it should know. They do provide a template with GenAI Chroma databases. So I just added that into the docs, pushed that code or pushed that change, and the workflow automatically kicked off by listening to a webhook. So that's a really good overview of pretty complex workflow. A chatbot that updates documentation using release templates to get GenAI up and running, the workflow engine, workspaces to get the right data in there to run a script, and then how it subscribes to webhooks. So if you have any other questions, check out docs.release.ai, and we're more than happy to answer anything that comes up. Thanks.